Blacktail deer, known as the Pacific Ghost. Keep in mind, this is self-filmed. Well, that's the 4 seconds of film that I put a lot of hard work and preparation into getting. Now, if you want to stick around and see how we got there from here, you're welcome to do so. For those of you who just wanted to see the hot part and the action, I didn't want you to have to wait for it, so there you go. Thanks for stopping by. For those of you who are going to stick around, there's quite a bit more cool stuff to see, and we're going to go over the shot again and the whole sequence, and you'll get to see how it broke down. Of course, you don't want to miss the slow-mos and stuff like that. Now, I made this film for several reasons. The main one was to possibly help out a beginner bow hunter get his first buck. Now, I'm not the best blacktail hunter around, but I'm fairly successful, and I just wanted to share some game plans and see if I could help somebody out. The other thing I was up to was I really wanted to film my shot this year from both sides of the animal, and Lord willing, I pulled it off somehow. So, the position of the moon in the sky dictates what the animals do and when. And that also dictates what my game plan's going to be for the day and what I do. I'm going to share like 4 basic theories with you on plans of action for a whole day's hunting, whether it's hot and sunny, cold and rainy, whatever it happens to be. That's one of the problems with early blacktail. Early season blacktail, we generally have hot weather, and it's tough to sneak around and get on them, which is my favorite way to hunt. I mean, they call it maybe spot and stalk. I don't. I just like to sneak around and see if I can get on one and shoot it. And that's almost out of the question this time of year. It's very, very tough. So these last 2 clips were opening morning, and seems like I could shoot a spike every opening morning. I don't shoot too many of them. I have shot them, but I try not to shoot them. I call this catch and release, and also practice. It sucks because another big buck could be out there watching me do this, and it could be costing me a deer. But I have to do it every once in a while to make sure my gig's working. So the reason I'm in this blind on opening morning is because the moon has been fairly high in the sky in the mornings, and it was actually just going over the horizon just before daylight, which isn't the best time, but I was still getting the morning action in the blind with the bait station. So that was my morning theory for all of early season, and I just kind of stuck with it, you know. This blind is right at my house in my yard, and the deer were really coming to it this year big time, and so I made that my main morning hunt. Now the deer move mainly, I'm not saying it's all the time, it's not a perfect science, but mainly they move when the moon is high in the sky and when it's under the earth. The one under the earth is a very small window. That's when they do most of their feeding and stuff, and that's why you want to make your move to feeding grounds, you know, of some kind, or your baits during those times. So the moon rises about an hour later every day or night, So as the season went on, at daylight the moon would be a little higher in the sky every morning, and I knew it was just getting better and better for that morning hunt over the bait. So I just kept at it. I knew that eventually one would screw up and come in during shooting hours. So that was the morning plan. Now as far as the rest of the day, it was pretty damn hot, and I knew, and dry. So sneaking around, I did a little bit of it. So my theory for midday is either walk around in the big timber and try and find them bedded, or in creek bottoms, and try and find them bedded down and kill one in its bed, which I've done before. But this year it wasn't working out. I did walk up on a spike in its bed, but it was tough. So I have another plan for hot days, midday, and that is to go sit on a heavily beaten trail with several coming into it that goes to the river or creek. And that's what I did in the afternoons. Any of these techniques, as long as the wind is right, you have a fair chance. And that's what I'm showing you here. I got a little wind detector on my stabilizer there. Now in the evening, I had movement on my bait that was in the canyon. So I would go down in there and sit the evenings out. Now, I discovered that the buck I wanted to kill was coming right by my blind. I had two blinds in there, one on the west side and one on the east side, depending on which way the wind was blowing. Wind usually blows from the west, so the upper blind on the east was the one to sit in, but he was coming in right downwind of the lower blind. He quit using the trail that went north and south, and he started coming in that way. So when this wind switched to east winds, it was useless to even go into that one, so I quit going down there. If I'd have just stayed another 10 minutes on the 5th, this is what happened during shooting hours. Like I said, it was an evening thing down there, and I just didn't wait long enough and decided I'd go back up and hunt the top blind, and I shouldn't have. Just a few more quick things, and we'll get down to business here, and get to the fun part. So, wet cob is what I'm using in the feeders. It changes what they do, trust me. They can get most any other bait you can put out there somewhere else. Apples, all that stuff works, but if they can get apples somewhere else, why do they make your bait any different than anywhere else they're eating? They won't make it special. Wet cob will make your bait work, trust me. And also, don't leave out calling as one of your options, especially when you get desperate and maybe prime time's passed and you do a little calling, or one comes in and leaves, try and call it back. You got rattling, grunting, and another little calling technique I'll show you for this baiting. They all work any time of year. Yeah. I also wanted to touch a little bit on preparation. I can't say enough about it. I started all this stuff in March. I started in March to get these deer to come daily. Okay, and or pretty much daily. You got to check everything and make sure it's working. Go through the motions. Make sure your bow's ready to go long before season. You don't want to be scrambling at the last minute like a lot of people. I have a pro staff now with Triple X Archery, Rainier, Oregon. And I can't say enough about how attention to detail Blake is and how well they took care of business here in the rush, getting ready for season. Well, I just headed down in here to refuel my baits. Got some baits down in this canyon here, and And I find baiting these early season deer, they set their patterns in the spring, and so what I tend to do is try and get started on it about the time I start seeing antlers on the deer, you know, when they just start showing the bumps. See a little furry nub on the head, and I start getting started, and I start putting my baits in and getting this stuff set up. I just start out with a simple bait and trail cam, and yeah, then if I see the right things on there, then I'll go ahead and proceed with building a ground blind or putting in a tree stand or whatever we have to do in that fashion. I like ground blinds. Yeah, tree stands are okay too. I mean, if you like them, you do. Anyway, this is a pretty cool looking canyon. Turn this camera around. Okay, I'm going to start with the day before opening day and show you how my season went from the first. This was the day before opening day. It's always something like this, you know, that when you have to sit there and wait for an animal to come in, and you keep thinking about this. One day earlier, and wouldn't have had 9 days of hunting, and I really had fun the whole 9 days, so it's okay. So this was September 4th. He came in a little early. All I had to do was be mellow, but you see me there with the field glasses looking. So the infrared on the trail camera made the field glasses reflect light about as bright as a flashlight. It blew him right out of there. And I seen it was the buck that I wanted to shoot. I wanted to shoot the one with the spot on it because that stuff can be contagious and other deer will catch it. And they say to take that deer out of the herd if you can. So he was my target buck. So get ready, because here comes the action. So, this is me right here in the red circle. This is from the other side. Look for him right there in the circle. Now, I can't believe he stood here like this, because he had been nervous after I scared him with the field glasses. I thought he was going to be really hard to shoot. This is 3 or 4 days later, you know. 5, I guess. All right, give her a few minutes here. I think we should rewind that. I'm betting I smoked him. It was easy to find. He only went 56 yards from where I shot him. And fair blood trail. There was enough to find him. Well, I got Spot. This is this is the deer that I wanted to get because he had this spot right here on him, and it's a disease, and I wanted to get it out of the group because they can pass this on to other deer. So this is the one I was praying to get, so that the rest of the deer around here wouldn't get that. And so just so it turned out that everything went perfect this morning. I think it's day 10. What's the date today, Larry? The 9th or the
9th?
9th. Day 9. So, you know, it took a lot of patience. And so yeah, this is that thing. It's a they call this disease cutaneous fibromass. PSE Evolve did its job. Got on the balance point stabilizers. Old school sight master sight. We're using a ripcord rest. Black Eagle X-Impact arrows with a Magnus Stinger buzz cut with the bleeders. It definitely did its job. Had a full pass through, but it hit one of my lineup sticks and hung it up in the deer. It would have been stuck in the ground, but it hit that big 2-inch stick I had there to line them up in the bait, and it went on through, and anyway, it ended up staying in him. But he's a dandy little buck. Definitely not my biggest, but good Lord blessed with the one I wanted this year. And I'm back out.